Okay, thanks Malcolm and Breda. Kathleen, I saw your head bobbing there. This is Kathleen Function. Our newest TD. We'll have to be asking for her autograph now.
Thanks, Margaret. I'll be very brief because I know there's a lot of people who want to speak. As Malcolm and Breda said, I know there was a vote. Obviously, I wasn't at the meeting today, but there was a vote on the deferral, and the usual five, as I used to always call it when I was on the council, voted for the deferral, and then I voted against the proposal. I do think, though, and I've always said this about anything I've ever been involved in, we need to try and see what we can do constructively going forward now, because, and I think a good start is the amount of people that are here in this room. I think there'll be a lot of public reps very disappointed, or not disappointed, that's the wrong word, but very surprised at the amount of people that are here, and I think they'll wish that they were here tonight to see how many people are here and how many people are interested in this, because I think wrongly there's a sense that there's maybe 3 or 4 disgruntled people that contact them on a regular basis, and they think that's it. I won't name who I think they might think they are. But no, I think
it's the only time she'll ever get away with calling us disgruntled.
I do. I think it's really important to a packed room like this, and I'd say, in fairness as well, to KCLR for coming out and covering it, because everyone will hear about it now tomorrow, you know. I think that's the way to get the message out. Social media has been brilliant in the last number of years as well, with campaigns like this to create awareness, to create kind of talking shops around things, and then to see how we can go forward with it. It's hugely disappointing that this is the situation that we're in, and I do think that probably councillors, and there's a lot of councillors that are only barely in 2 years. I mean, coming up on 2 years ago, the local elections were, so there's no way that you can know that role well enough in that space of time to make, an informed decision about something that's this complex, I think. And it's such a pity that when people probably were sitting there thinking, what way am I going to go on this? Do I really know enough? They didn't have the courage to say, well, at least let's go for a deferral. I mean, it's like Margaret said earlier, you're not asking the sun, moon and stars to ask for a deferral. But I think we need to see how we can go forward and what we can do to try and possibly change this. I don't know how much rowing back on it can be done, but I do think enough public pressure in any campaign is key to everything. And I think we're at a different stage maybe than we were a few years ago in relation to the bridge and everything. So I think there's hopefully an opportunity there to get things reversed. And another thing as well, and I was saying this earlier to somebody, the councillors as a group, regardless of political parties or whether you're in a party or not, we need to try and figure out some way of getting people to work together, because when the councillors are divided, the executive are running riot over them, and that's what's happening. And I don't know whether Malcolm would agree with this, but there was times, not all the time, but there was times on the old borough council where 12 councillors came together in relation to different things, and you could see that's what scares the executive, when the people are working together, because we're the ones with the votes. I mean, if people had worked together in that room today, you could have gotten the deferral, or you could have gotten a majority no vote. So I'm not sure exactly how we can do that, but I think we need to get the councillors to realise they need to start working together, not against the executive, but challenging the executive, because we're the ones with the mandate, we're the ones that are elected, they're in an unelected position. So I think we need to work on that and work on in general how we can move forward from this, because there's a lot of other issues as well where decisions are being taken, and there's a lot of questions around how that decision was made, and there's not really any answers coming from the executive. So I think those two things, seeing what constructively we can do and trying to get the other councillors outside of the 5 that usually, as I always say, can see sense, to work together on some of these issues. We mightn't always agree on policy, and politically and ideologically we might be miles apart, but at times when it's for the good of the city or for a project that's local, we should be able to work together on it. Thanks.
Thanks, Kathleen. Okay, thanks Malcolm, Breda, Kathleen, and we take questions, comments from the floor. Just Anne-Marie for 1 sec.
Yeah, just 1 second. Maybe something that Kathleen could answer. This situation where you have the executive effectively pulling the strings of the councillors, and I'm sorry I don't mean to demean any of you who are in office, but basically you're a crowd of puppets. You have no rights. We were told 2 years ago in the council chamber, and I heard the solicitor saying it out in the council, as many of you did here, that the councillors have no rights, thanks to that gentleman in Brussels who made the decision to separate the councils and to merge the councils and the borough council, etc. And he took the rights away from the local councillors to supervise and maybe look out for our interests. And now you have a small group of people and it's not just in Kilkenny, in all the local authorities, the council executive are running the city. Now they don't have really morally, okay, maybe legally they have the right now, but why couldn't something be done at a national level to get that bloody decision reversed? We should really go up to the Dáil, and I don't mean to just stand outside with a packet of crisps and a megaphone, but to go in and basically, I think we should storm the place. Now, I did it before. How dare they? How dare they? It's our city, it's our brewery.
Okay. Okay, thanks Anne-Marie for that. Passionate as always. But I think Anne-Marie is suggesting something not unreasonable at all, that I have heard many of the councillors comment upon themselves, is that the Local Government Act and the way in which power, shall we say, is vested at the minute really needs to be looked at. And perhaps with another election coming up in the not too distant future, it is something that we could maybe be pushing to the top of people's agendas. I had heard people, Canis, just a minute. So Rémi's hand was next, Canis, then we'll cut.
I just want to try and synopsize what you said to everybody earlier, so we can get it right. I was never really good with microphones.
Sorry, it's just going to pre-record.
Oh, it's going to pre-record. Okay. So basically, what we have here is a site which was acquired by Kilkenny County Council for the development of the city, supposedly. Now, if I am correct in synopsizing what you actually said earlier, we have a site which is now divided into 6 sections, which the County Council are actually going to put in the infrastructure, the services to. And I must add something on this. The infrastructure has the best sewage system you could possibly imagine in there, because when the brewery were there, they actually put all of their effluent into that to go off to Purser's Inch. Yes. So you have a site that has a full sewage treatment plant available to it. So this is a really good building site, or it's a good site where a lot of people can actually collectively come together for an auditorium or something like that, not just business as so-called. But if I get it correctly, the County Council are going to have to actually put in all the infrastructure, all the roads, footpaths, etc., clean the site, take out all of the PCBs, etc., and then they are going to put the whole thing into a company which have the entitlement, with no connection to Kilkenny County Council, to sell, lease, or partly develop to anybody who wants to come in. So, effectively, we might have a Dundrum type shopping centre right across the brewery site. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I can't say whether it's correct or not, but it's possible, yes.
Who could say no?
Who said no?
I said no.
Right, sorry.
No.
What are you, no, sorry, Rémi, hang on now. Yeah. David is willing to answer that.
What's David tell us why it can't happen? The answer, can I give you a couple of facts, a couple of just numbers here?
Yeah, go on.
60% of the site remains in public ownership for Kilkenny County Council. Kilkenny County Council will remain 100%, will own 60% of the site.
How much of the developed land?
Sorry, that's the first. I just gave you the first. That's the first number. The second number is 40%, which accounts for 6 sites. There are approximately 9 sites on it. 6 of those 9 sites will move into a partnership between the County Council, local government, and the NTMA representing national government. The money that the NTMA money is the pension, the National Pension Reserve Fund. So effectively what is happening is, rather than the NTMA, which it did a few years ago, invest in foreign investments, the government of the day have decided that some of that money will be made available to stimulate development within towns and cities all over the countryside. And the Diageo site, the brewery site in Kilkenny, is the first of those, is one of those sites. It's not the only one, but it's one of those sites. Now, in relation to what we do, we own or we don't own, that 60% will not be touched. That will create a 2.5 acre park within the development and other positive things, including social housing. What do we?
No, if we let him finish first, and then you can come back with further questions.
The first section that has been identified, the first section, not the only section, the first section that has been identified for social housing is the land immediately to the back of Vicar Street, which would be at the back of the Kilkenny Inn and adjacent to the Central Access Scheme.
Sweeney's Orchard.
Yes, Sweeney's Orchard, as people locally would know it. The remainder of the site is open to a range of uses, including cultural, educational, residential, and other uses that can come along the way, including commercial uses, to create employment and so on and so forth. That is open for use.
No, it's not.
You can have the floor in a few minutes.
It is perfectly possible that, for example, a housing association can come along and agree to develop one of the sites for a form of social housing. In this country, we don't deliver social housing through councils to the same extent as we used to. Many of you will be aware that we have what they call housing associations. A housing association, as an example, could come along, agree with the new partnership to take one of the sites and create social housing within that, or a mixture of social housing and private housing within that site. So the site has a whole range of uses. The question before the members is, how do we make this happen? The council cannot of itself, does not have the resources to go and borrow the millions and tens of millions that would be required, and that's where the national treasury, the national money through the NTMA has been made available to the development to allow it to stimulate. The key from my point of view is that the entire project remains a public project. It is not, there is no private developer has been brought in. This is a publicly controlled project for the 40% that has been transferred, that is proposed to be transferred into this partnership. That 40% will continue to be 100% publicly controlled by the NTMA and Kilkenny County Council working in partnership. That's the essence of the deal.
Sorry, David.
No, Canis, right, have you, Dave, is there anything else you want to say? No, that's fine. Okay, wait, now, hang on. We want to keep control of the meeting. Hands up, anybody want to make a response to that? Canis.
How can it be in public ownership, David, if it's been signed into this partnership with the NTMA that's class commercial? How in God's name, you know company law. I was involved in a company once. It's very difficult to get out of a company. Once you've signed yourself into these things, you can't get out of them. And that's why quite a good group of intelligent people wanted to defer things. Furthermore, right, David, the city of Kilkenny is owned by the people of Kilkenny. The Central Access Scheme, I went up on the bridge just by accident when all that thing was happening. But can I just say, basically, I didn't, now that I see the whole thing unfolding before my eyes, I realise, first of all, I would see that it's perverseness that the ring road wasn't finished at a cost of 15 million. Crossing in the northern part, because I always said to the contractors, you're building the bridge in the wrong place. The ring road should have connected the hospital and all the commercial processes. There was 10,000 people.